One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? 7 days, we back again for another episode of Dominant Effect. I'm March Bishop. We got Mike Ball, got Aaron Olinger. What's up, everybody? Glad that everybody decided to tune in tonight. This is going to be a pretty interesting show. We're going to be covering a lot of stuff tonight, so we're gonna skip the regular formalities and we're gonna jump straight into this because it's a lot of stuff that we need to cover dealing with this particular topic. So today we're going to dive into something global, something massive, something that's touching every country on earth, whether you voted for it or not, and that's Agenda 2030. Now, on paper, it's a 17-goal plan that's supposed to be, quote, quote, to save the world. But behind the scenes, it's shaping laws, digital IDs, smart cities, the future of food, money, poverty, even your own property, and maybe your freedom in ways that people don't even realize. So tonight we're going to break down all 17 of these goals, what they really mean and what they could mean. And why is this plan either a blueprint or global process? Or are we actually looking for like this, or is Agenda 2030 like a quiet script for global control. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight on the domino effect. So, um, so let's start out first with the origins of this and where
Sure.
this actually came from. So, this is a plan that was adopted by the UN in 2015. So you got 179 countries that's all a part of the UN, which basically every country in the world is in the UN. And this replaced the Agenda 21 that they did back in 92. So Agenda 21 was basically the plan that they come up with for the that was supposed to be implemented in the 21st century. That was like the starter plan. 2030 is more of a implemented uh, plan. So it was designed as basically like a global framework, um, and not a actual binding law. So it's not an actual law that's going on in these countries. This is a mutual agreement between all these countries, and then they all figure out what they're going to do to be able to implement all this stuff.
Right. Real quick on that, AB. So, kind of like how Agenda 2025, for instance, was a national here in the United States agenda. And that's where people are probably, think tanks of Agenda 2025 that this is a national framework. But like you just pointed out, this is a international world, global framework, not a U.S. law. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. So basically, Agenda 2030, like I said before, is not a law. It's a template, a blueprint, so to speak. But when these governments start using this blueprint to justify their regulations, then that blueprint suddenly becomes what's in place. Um, so we're gonna go through these 17 right quick. Now I'm gonna read them. I'm just gonna read them real quick. And when you first listen to it, you'd be like, okay, that's not bad.
Right. How could I be opposed to that?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So I'm gonna read these off to you real quick. So we got no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water. That's basically to protect oceans and marine life. Life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnerships for these goals. Now, when you first look at that, you're like, okay, well, what's the problem?
Right.
Now,
How could I possibly go against that? Right.
right, right. But you know that in order for that to take place, other things have to take place as well in order for all that to work. Okay.
A lot of
Right.
things.
Which brings on the digital ID, biometric IDs, the linked databases, smart cities, all that comes into play. Now, they don't talk about that. It's the devil in the details when it comes to this. So, so this is what we're gonna jump into first. So, Aaron, I'm gonna let you start, and then I'm gonna jump in, and we're gonna they might jump in, and we're gonna kind of piggyback off all this stuff. We're gonna put all this information out there.
Okay. Well, you gave the 17 of what I call the public propaganda, but in reality, I'm gonna quote you 18 of what they're actually doing and what they're working toward. One world government. Two, one world religion. All these faiths that we have, they're about to be outlawed. One world cashless currency is 3. 4, one world central bank. And they're close to making that happen because right now there's only 7 countries in the world that is not a part of the central bank. China and Russia are 2 of them. And
Right.
is that by coincidence that we're having trouble with them right now, or is that by design? Okay, one world military. End of national sovereignty would be 6. 7, end of privately owned property. Like they said, you'll own nothing and be happy. You won't own no land. End of the family unit. Mandatory vaccines. Universal basic income. Microchip tracking for everyone. World social credit system. Thousands of SC towers, which I'm sure is going to be for population control and tracking. End of private transportation, so you won't even own a vehicle. End of private farms. Businesses will all be owned by the government. There will be travel restrictions in place, and there will be a restricted land use. So where I might be growing food on my land, if it becomes restricted, I would lose that right on my own property. But that would be the 18 restrictions that they have in place. And the guy that formulated all this was named Klaus Schwab. In his manifesto,
Swab. What a
Schwab,
name.
yeah, he's German, he's an economist. He was the founder of the WEF, that's the World Economic Forum. You know, the people, they didn't start it, but he coined the phrase, you'll own nothing and be happy. That's where it came from.
Interesting.
He resigned from office in 2025, and he's one of the designers of the Agenda 2030. Now, they used his initial part of his, what they call it, his manifesto as the template for the 2030. And in that, he states, crises are opportunities. Pandemics accelerate transformation. So it made me question if, because he wrote it behind COVID-19, and it made me wonder, was COVID-19 by design? Or is it just, again, a crisis or opportunities? He also said that the world must adapt global coordination, meaning nations lose sovereignty so unelected institutions can gain it. He framed individualism as a barrier, freedom as a problem, and he framed national identity as outdated. His solution was collectivism, a unified society where your personal beliefs, personal rights, and your personal choices are absorbed into the greater good. But collectivism only works if people obey. And obedience only works if the population is softened up. So to get that obedience, you're going to have to economically oppress the people or cause certain disasters to happen and claim that they're disasters where you could be creating a crisis to bring people under such duress that they will go for anything that you come forward with. But he clearly says they got to be softened up, and the 2030 agenda agrees. Now, you want me to stop there, Bishop, where you can chime in, or do you want me to keep going?
Well, I got something for it,
Okay.
Aaron.
Okay.
Regarding agenda, 2030 here. So I wrote down a couple of things here. Sovereignty and local control, meaning a national control, is obviously going to be an issue, right? Agenda 2030 isn't American-made policy. It's for instance, American communities should decide American priorities, not global frameworks.
Right.
This is my opinions, by the way. In the way that I look at it, we shouldn't allow or let international goals dictate how we farm, build, regulate energy, or educate our children. Number 2 is on an economic impact. Agenda 2030 pushes climate and energy transitions that could raise costs for working families. And then policies inspired by Agenda 2030 risk harming small business and rural economies. Number 3 on my list is transparency and accountability. Much of Agenda 2030 is pushed through federal agencies and NGOs without voters' direct consent, as well as any policy affecting Americans should be debated publicly, not buried in global initiatives. Number 4, energy and agriculture. Agenda 2030 environmental goals often translate to stricter regulations on farmers and energy producers. And, our economy does depend on these things. And then, of course, I put 5, because I listed 5 things here. 5, freedom and individual rights. Whenever a global body sets standards, we should ask whether those standards limit American freedoms. Local control protects families better than one-size-fits-all international goals.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, let me add one thing to it, and then Bishop, I'm gonna let you go. Right now, the way they've got it set up, the UN is going to write the policies. Okay. The World Economic Forum is going to market the ideology, which we see that happening now. The IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank are going to fund the transition. So this whole change that we're about to go through is already fully funded. Then the WHO, World Health Organization, is going to enforce compliance under the guise of health. And
Right.
basically what's going to come down to is your vote, borders, and constitution will no longer matter. But I'm going to stop there for right now, Bishop.
Mhm. To go back on something that you said when you was talking about what Klaus Schwab has said, and we've said it a few times in other shows that everybody will own nothing and be happy.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Now he actually stole that from somebody.
Oh, shit. Oh,
And
shit. Stolen
there,
valor, motherfucker.
so there was a lady by the name of Ida Auken, and she's a Danish member of parliament. She's not a UN official. She's not a World Economic Forum executive. She's just a politician that they asked to do a opinion piece, and she wrote a piece that was titled "I Own Nothing, Have No Privacy, and Life Has Never Been Better."
Oh, wow. That's super interesting.
So
Damn.
so she wasn't creating any kind of policy. She wrote like a futuristic scenario, but people took that and ran with it. So when they first got with her about it, she was like, "No, that's not what she meant." She was thinking along the lines of, based on what was going on and what she knew that they had in place, this could be something that that could happen back in the back in 2030. This is during this time. This was back in 16.
Right.
But so like I said, her article wasn't a plan, but it did reveal what some global thinkers were thinking about back then. And not because they want you to be poor, but because they're in their minds, they're coming up with this society where ownership was replaced by renting, which we talked about that before. Everything is delivered on demand. Cars, kitchens, tools, devices, everything is shared. Corporations manage daily life. You have the digital systems to tracking everything. Privacy becomes optional. That does align with the infrastructure that's being built today. So you got subscriptions instead of ownerships. You got digital IDs. You got the smart cities that they're coming up with. In some of these other countries, they're starting to adapt with this cashless society. You have corporate control over the housing and food systems, and then you have this algorithm monitoring that they've been doing. So even though she said that it was just a story, it actually came into play with the stuff that they had in place as well. So I don't know whether that was just a coincidence, because they said that she didn't have any involvement with what they had planned, but a lot of the stuff that she had in that speech had a lot to do with what was going on, what they actually had on paper. But now um, with those 17, I'm gonna tell you the 5 that I think are the most dangerous out of them 17.
Ooh,
And
good. I like that.
the first one was um, is where digital ID becomes centralized and mandatory. Now,
Right.
that right there is the foundation of the whole system, because without that, none of it runs. They can't do anything else unless you have that. That is the key thing. So everything attaches to it. You got the banking, you got healthcare, your travel, your employment, your education, your benefits, your property access, legal systems. Everything is all put into this digital ID. Now, once a single ID is required for actually everything that you do, then your overall freedom becomes conditional. You basically become a QR code.
Yeah, by the
To
way,
say the
scan
least.
this, by the way, and you
Right.
guys go to the diamond effect. There you go.
The second one is where the CBDCs allow the algorithmic financial control. Now, the CBCs, the CBDC isn't just digital cash. It's also programmable. So they can allow the spending limits, your purchasing restrictions.
Oh, you acted bad at this store, so now we're gonna limit the way that you can pull out. You
Right,
have now a limit of $700 a day that you can spend. Yeah,
right, right. So they
yeah,
can freeze and suspend your function. They do
absolutely.
real time tracking, and it's all categorized based on allowances. So what you have there is basically financial control disguised as modernization. That's bullshit.
Oh,
Now,
fuck, absolutely.
so then you go to the smart cities. So you got the smart city infrastructure. Now, with that, that tracks all your movements, and it collects data on your movements, your purchases, your energy use, uh, carbon use, water use.
Social credit scores, everything.
Right. What locations you done visited, your car traveling, what patterns you go in, all of that. So that's like that's not really categorized as like a soft surveillance. You know what I mean? It's like they all up in your business. You know what I mean? They know everything that you do on a regular basis, because they're continuously tracking. You know what I mean? Once again, you know what I mean, I would say, isn't that an invasion of privacy? You know what I mean? Why is it your business to know where I'm going? I mean, if I'm going to the store, why is it your business? If I'm going to the strip club, why is it your business? You see what I'm saying?
But we passed it
You don't
through
need
the
to know.
Restrict Act.
Right.
We
You don't need
passed
to
it.
know all that. You don't need to know everything I'm doing. So
Sadly.
now the fourth one that I thought was pretty crazy is where, and you was talking about it earlier, Mike, and that's where your food, energy, and your land becomes highly regulated.
Exactly. Yep. And
So
that's gonna mess up a lot of business too.
right. So your meat consumption drops. Excuse me. Because they was talking on there that they wanted to um, basically eliminate eating meat, and that would be more of a
Net positive to them.
well, not really. It was more or less like you can't eat meat every day, but when you can, it's like a specialty type deal.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah,
Um,
you treat it like a luxury, like a super luxury, right?
there you go. There you go. That right there. So they come up with all this other stuff that they called pharma food. which is basically
Right.
lab grown meats, all that all that jazz that Bill Gates was talking about years
And
ago.
and we were talking about a year and a half or a year ago, whatever. We did a
Yeah,
whole episode, all of us.
right, right. So now they call it pharma meat. That's what they're
Wow.
talking about
Weird
now.
weird term. Pharma
Right.
meat.
So
That's not appealing.
not at all. So when that happens, you got farms closed down. You got a lot of the smaller farmers, they get squeezed.
Right.
Um, the utilities rations, so it will decide how much energy you're able to use on a daily basis. Um, then you have the private lands that has like zoning restrictions and stuff like that, and then your travel limits become normalized, which basically they can tell you how far you're able to go. If you want to go on a trip, they can tell you how far you're able to go, and then you have to do a special permit or whatever to be able to go outside of your designated 15-minute area in order to make these trips. So that's also a government regulated system. You know what I mean? So basically what it does is it takes your whole personal lifestyle and makes it to where the government decides what you can and can't do. You know, now my last one is the corporate slash government mergers. That was my that's my fifth one. And that one there, I think is more or less like a sleeper threat for real. Because Agenda 2030 encourages partnerships between the governments, the banks, the tech giants, the investment firms, the NGOs, and all these international organizations. They're all in the same group. So these partnerships ends up writing the policies, not voters, not local communities, not actually elected officials. These are all bureaucrats that's not elected anywhere that makes the laws for the whole world.
Mhm.
Now that blurs that line there between democracy and corporate rule. You know what I'm saying? That kind of blurs those lines there because you got people that's not actually elected officials making the rules for everybody else to follow. So those are the five that I thought that was the worst ones out of them. But I know Aaron, you got a couple that you was talking about as well. So
Well,
dealing with the Gen Z kids,
yeah,
which
yeah.
I was kind of shocked about that. But go ahead and jump into it.
Okay, well, let me get into Gen Z. You know, if you want a one world system, you must build a population that embraces it without question. That population is called Gen Z. We all know that Gen Z exists. And it's been psychologically targeted by this one world order system. They're purposely targeting them. Now, one of the things they have to do is they have to systematically dumb down the children. We know I mean, I know a lot of people I talk to that tell me all the time that this next generation is the dumbest generation they've ever seen. They just do stupid stuff and make stupid decisions and whatever. Well, they've been systematically dumbed down. This was done on purpose. You know, education becomes indoctrination. You have critical thinking is replaced by emotional reactions. I mean, if everyone knows that in order to think clearly, you have to remove emotions from it. But they're replacing critical thinking with emotional reactions. They're weaponizing the children emotionally. Every disagreement becomes trauma. I mean, that's all we hear about is these kids or these young people are having trauma because they got into a disagreement with someone. They got to go see a counselor and stuff, all this stuff. Every opinion becomes violence. So if my opinion's different than yours, we're going to settle it through violence because I'm thinking emotionally. I'm not thinking critically. So my
Mhm.
solution to handling this is to commit acts of violence. Every challenge becomes oppression. So any challenge that someone goes up against, well, they're oppressing me. or my job's oppressing me, or my husband or wife is oppressing me. We're being dumbed down, and they're making people think that this is the way to be when we know differently. They are trained to break, not to fight. And then you get into another part, sexual confusion. This is going to connect the dot for a lot of you people, what's going on in the school system and why they're doing certain things that don't seem logical. Sexual confusion is a tool. Identity is the core of self, and it has to be shattered. Boys are told masculinity is toxic. Girls are told femininity is oppression. A generation left wandering in identity limbo are easy to guide, easy to shape, easy to manipulate. I mean, in some of the schools I'm hearing, they're giving puberty blockers to some of these children. They're telling the boys and girls don't choose what sex you are. Uh, they're trying to create this situation. I mean, this has all been designed under this one world government. They're targeting these people, this Gen Z. They're making them soft, getting them ready. Another category that they're doing is what they call
One
big.
one sec, Aaron. I just
Okay.
wanted to say, just on. I'm sorry to interrupt because you're
No.
on it, bro. But the one thing that you did say about Gen Z, I was listening while I was grabbing a drink, and you were spot on, dude. Absolutely. Resorting to violence and the way that it's acting on emotion.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Right.
You are spot on this.
Appreciate
Just
that.
wanted to say that.
Okay. And then the next thing that they're doing is called digital overexposure. I mean, their plan is brilliant. I had to give it to them when I read everything. Gen Z literally lives online. We know that these kids cannot walk around nowhere without a phone, without a computer. They they don't even play football no more. They play football online.
Listen, man. I am reliant on my phone at this point. Listen. I guess maybe I'm subhuman at this point, and people are like, "Oh, fuck this." But listen, man. If I leave this house and I forgot my phone, I don't care how far away I am. I'm turning around and I'm grabbing that shit. Like, listen, man. I can't survive without it at this point. So I just accept my reality.
Okay. Well, like I said, they know that Gen Z lives online. So whoever controls the digital space controls the minds of Gen Z. You're literally indoctrinating them and programming them on what to think, what to believe. I mean, algorithms are that they're setting up are going to decide what they think, how to react, who to hate, what to fear. This has all been put in place by design. And we're seeing it in our day-to-day lives in some of these younger people. It's there. And when you start reading this, it starts connecting dots in my head as to why they're allowing some of this stuff in the school system. Schools are now indoctrination camps. Then we get into a fifth category, which is dependency over independence. We do not want people to think about prepping and things like that. That preaches self-reliance and independence. We want this generation has been raised to survive, raised not to survive, but to comply. They're not taught survival skills. They're not taught basic things on how to grow food and stuff. They're keeping that information away from them. They're being taught to comply with rules. They must trust the system over themselves. They trust institutions over instincts, and they have to trust convenience over freedom. Why spend weeks or months growing beans when you can just go to a grocery store and buy a can, you know?
Right.
So they're getting people thinking this way. This is all being done by design. And they decided this back in 2015. Actually, when they came together was back in the 90s, but in 2015 they ratified it. And that was done in New York. Now keep in mind, the United States is funding a lot of those nations. I mean, in fact, most of the nations that's a part of UN is who we give economic aid to. And is that being
Facts.
done to bring us down economically? It says here that Agenda 2030 moves to one outcome: one world government, one world currency, one world surveillance grid, one world digital ID, one world language, which is going to be under AI, it's coming out with its own language that will be the one world language, one world culture, and one obedient, softened, weakened population.
Oh shit.
The pandemic was the launch pad. COVID-19 was the launch pad. The Great Reset is what they're calling it. It isn't the finish line, it's the opening act. The true finish line is going to be the year 2030 itself. But between now and 2030, things are going to change, and the only solution that can stop this from happening is the fact that they fear people rejecting collectivism and reclaiming sovereignty. They fear people waking up and becoming aware. Once humanity remembers who it is, the entire agenda will collapse. But right now, as I told you, the different sections and how they're changing education, they're dumbing down the children. This is all being done by design so that when they make their move, the majority of the population is going to comply. They're going to create crisis. Crisis is going to be opportunities. Some of those will be man-made, and eventually the population will be so softened up that they will just say, okay, we want relief. We're going to be obedient. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. And it's going to happen. And right now, since 2019 up till now, a lot of this stuff I just read off, I'm seeing in my day-to-day life among people I come in contact with.
Real quick, not to interrupt, but we got Papa Penguin coming in with the $5 saying for the drink fund. Yes, sir. Thank you. It goes a long way. That pays
All right.
for this glass right here, so I appreciate that.
Right. Well, one of the other things too, Aaron, along with that, is that the UN is actually they trying to take on a little bit more power than they have.
Right.
And to some points, they're not even hiding it anymore.
No.
So, like for instance, like the UN just asked a couple of days ago for global for global censorship power. And then you had what is it? What is his name? The UN chief, Antonio Gutierrez. He called for title control over social media, claiming that social media was giving out all these false narratives and was threatening the UN's agenda for 2030, like he was just talking about, and the goals for global stability. And he demanded, this is what he was talking about, he demanded that the platforms that talk negative about 2030, he wanted them dealt with, because he didn't want nobody saying anything bad about what's going on with 2030.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go over to Australia, for instance. Now Australia turned around and they not only starting digital ID, but they want digital ID on every social platform. So, like for instance, if you go on there and you use your nickname on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, they have to know exactly who you are. You can still use your nickname, but they want to know who you are. So if you put something on there that they don't like, then they can still come after you for whatever it is that you said. So then you have the World Economic Forum. Now, they've been, for the past few months now, they've been trying to start this path to force this traceability online, dealing with the digital ID, which kind of goes back to what Australia was doing as well. So the World Economic Forum started a couple months ago, then Australia jumped in, and now they want to basically be a part of it. Now, just north of us over in Canada, they got some shit going on too, because Canada right now is basically like a test site for this whole 2030 agenda. And now that is in theory. That's a blueprint for their, what they call it, technocratic thing that they got going on right now. So what their plan is in Canada is to replace all money with those programmable digital credits and transform the energy to dictate how much you use it, along with the carbon tax that they started. What was that, about a year or so ago, when they started doing the carbon tax, and they started putting it on like the food, the packages or whatever, like it, this much carbon tax, this much carbon was used or whatever. And those taxes up there is like extreme. They're talking about seasoned farmland and start using that farmer food that we was talking about before, and then basically re-engineer the whole economy up there through that net zero that that we were talking about earlier, for like an overall sustainability. So what they're using up there for justification for that is the climate. So they trying to use the climate crisis and carbon monoxide, which that's what they used when they started that carbon tax up there. But that's how they've been able to manipulate that. And but the experts, a lot of the experts, when I was looking at a couple of these other documentaries and stuff that I was reading up on, and a lot of them said that once digital ID is in place, it basically is game over for humanity as we know it.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. And real quick, I just want to interrupt because Papa Penguin sent in on your side, AB, saying AB's looking a little thirsty too.
Now I'm drinking this orange juice because actually I got a head cold right now. My whole head is stopped up right now.
That's right. You paid for his what's the NyQuil? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You paid for the NyQuil for the night, bro.
Yeah,
That's
actually,
awesome.
I took that right before I started this thing, man. I'm tell you what, I felt like hammer shit when I walked in here this man, I've been doing everything humanly possible to keep, but the show must go on.
my God!
But a lot of this, when you think about it, it's not sustainability. It's a mission. You got the agriculture, you got digital, economic, human. And I think the biggest thing dealing with us as a people that we need to, I'm not gonna say wake up, because I don't want nobody to talk about the whole woke shit, but we really need to start paying attention as to what's going on here. Because once this model goes global, we all in for it. Everybody. Like I said, it's not just us. We're all in for it. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of this stuff that they have on here, you're not gonna like it.
Yeah, no kidding. Real quick, Cord, my buddy, Straight Jacket in the chat, sends in $1 due on the Cash App. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Let me ask you this question, and I'm gonna ask you guys, but I'm gonna also ask the ones that's watching, just to see what everybody's critique is on this. Here's the question: do you trust global institutions to set world goals? Max, again, do you trust global institutions to set world goals? I mean, like the UN, the World Bank, the IMF, the WEF, all them. Do you trust them?
I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anyone.
No, I'm gonna say no to that, because let's say what's going on in the United States, the UN is going to do something based upon what's good for the world or what's good for the body as a whole. where there may be an individual issue. It could be cultural, it could be race, it could be whatever. And they will try to intercede and try to set policy based upon a world type thing when it may be something that can only be decided regionally because of what's going on in the area at that time. It could even be something over an election, but they're trying to weed away power from elected officials, like you said, to go to unelected people that are administrators or institutions. And that's not right. I mean, the UN asked Trump in his first term in office to do away with the US Constitution and the Second Amendment. And if they couldn't do away with the Constitution or rewrite it to get rid of the Second Amendment, Trump told him to go get fucked, basically.
Go get bent.
Yeah, there's just no way. I mean, with him being a nationalist, it buys us time. But you get a globalist in there, they're going to be all for this crap. And we're going to see what's guaranteed to us under the Constitution. Our rights are going to be sifted away to people who don't have our best interests at heart. All these people are globalists or elitists or people that see us as being a herd that needs to be culled. They want to reduce this population down to controllable numbers, and they're going to come up with a reason to do it. But they're
So,
sitting
Aaron,
back. They're sitting back like rulers, and they're going to make decisions for us. I don't need them to do that. I make a decision for me, what's best for me. But go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I apologize for interrupting. So the question that I have is, let's say I get into office, right? Which I am somebody that is America only. That's my mindset. I'm America only in the aspect of not only buying from America. You know, if we need to buy shit from the international level, we need to do that. Sure, I'm not saying we need to isolate ourselves. But I need to see everything is going to be an America pro first. The money goes first to the people, not international. Now, here's the thing. If I get elected president, we have international policies right now that are on this global level, right? This globalist ideology. And even guys, which I believe guys like Trump in the beginning, like that's exactly what he was about. And then you quickly realize when you get into the seat, oh shit, there's so many handshakes that go back some 100 years ago. And you can't, just because your ideology within that 4 or 8 years, you can't just all of a sudden say fuck all those handshakes. Everybody in government's going to remind you can't do that. You know, and so I think it boils down to our policies on an international level at this point.
Oh, it most definitely does. But when Bush said on TV, when we defeated Iraq, that we have formed a new world order, my head snapped around and I looked at the television. I'm like, do you realize what you just said? Or are you saying that we are in it right now? And I believe that we are in it. Like I said, there's only 7 nations that aren't a part of the World Bank, the central banking system, only 7. And we're at contention with a few of them right now. Out of the UN, 170 something signed for this, but there's 188 countries in the world. Why were those other countries omitted? And will their governments be destabilized and puppets put into place to fall into order? I mean, they're going to have to bring those rogue nations into play here somewhere, or they're going to have to be defeated in battle to bring them into play, because they can't be allowed to be running loose if they're going to put all this stuff in, all this program into place. But they already running with it. I mean, like I said, from COVID up till now, a lot of what I read off, I'm seeing it in people, and people are being indoctrinated and programmed. I mean, if you can look at TV and watch the news and think that you're not being programmed, well, you've already been programmed. I'll put it like that.
Facts.
And I'll let it go there.
I'll tell you another reason why I don't trust all that whole global institutions making these rules. Because number one, like you said, Aaron, they're not elected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know none of these fuckers for real.
Right.
Um, they don't answer to the public. They don't have consequences if they're wrong, and they don't even live up under policies themselves.
Yeah. Someone in the chat, go ahead and name these people. You know what I mean? Like you don't even fucking know who they are.
Right. So they want you to adhere to what they put in play, but they don't adhere to it themselves. You know what I mean? It's kind of like do as I say, not as I do. You know
Double
what I mean?
standard. Right.
Yeah. So my second question here, this is for everybody else that want to chime in. This is simply yes or no. Just yes or no. Just type yes or no in the chat on this question. Would you accept a digital ID if required for traveling and your banking?
No. No.
I can honestly say I can't answer that because that would, I mean, you're not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to get medical treatment. My God, man, I mean, that would be the worst that you could ever face. You'd have to be willing to go out into the woods and homestead, and sooner or later, that's going to be illegal, and they will come for you. I mean, as Bill Gates said, once his satellite network gets fully activated, there will be no square foot on this earth you're going to be able to hide that they're not going to be able to find you. I mean, damn, I mean, I'm growing food, but I don't grow enough that I don't have to go to the grocery store yet. But they're going to make that use of my land illegal. They can fly right over top of my house and spray some sort of deforestation element right on my garden and kill everything out. Now I'm faced with starvation. My family's faced with starvation. I've got religious people that told me that the day when that day comes, I will just watch them wither away and they will eventually die because they're going to refuse to take that. Well, you could say that while you got a full belly and you're not sick and you're not suffering.
Sure.
But when you see your grandkids suffering, here you go, take the digital ID, or else we're just going to let them die. Man, it's a whole together different ball game.
I totally respect what you're saying, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get that. I mean, where no medical access, someone that me who has gone through extreme medical access for me to survive, you know, and so I totally understand your point of view there. I think that I'm someone that is a very rarity in a situation where I have to look objectively in these situations, just like you just did in that analysis, because not everyone's going to be as prepared as me. Not everyone's going to have the amount of gold and silver or the amount of whatever backing you to be, whether that be your own land. And just like you said, even then, you're still not totally safe. You know, I've got a lake here with 15,000 fish here, you know, but the government totally could fly over my house, put some agent down onto this big ass 15-acre lake, and boom, it's all dead. I mean, you're absolutely right in this analysis, and I appreciate the objective thinking on that. I'm just somebody at this point that I mean, this is what I do Monday through Friday, right? I talk about this on a geopolitical level, world news level, and an American level. I just will refuse myself. You know, when you object this on this objective question, I refuse myself, but I understand what you're getting at and how other people were like, yeah, your baby girl is dying. What are you going to do right now?
Right.
When they tell you that you can't get service unless you got this, you know, and at that point, it's like, what are you going to do?
Well, let me say this last point. Upon doing the research for this show, I spent a couple of days researching, and the more I found, the more I felt pain in my stomach. I felt anxiety because I realize that my daughter and my grandchildren will be faced with this. I'm not Gen Z, but this just put fear into me. And then I'm thinking, well, what if I'm not here to help them? Which that's part of the program. I'm not meant to be here when they invoke all this. But we're going to see quite a bit of it happening between now and 2030. In fact, digital ID, I say, will be prevalent in 2020 by 2028. So, man, it just scared me upon learning how far they're into this, seeing that I could see the actions in certain people around me, and they don't even realize they're being indoctrinated and programmed.
Right.
That was the scariest part.
That
You know,
is the scariest part.
they laugh at me. I'm the what do you call it? Call it the
Tinfoil hat.
yeah, I'm the tinfoil hat wearing person.
You've been told that your whole
But
life, and now you're getting proven to be
but
right. So it's amazing, right?
but as far as I'm concerned right now, I look forward to the day that some of those people come back and apologize to me for not investing in gold and silver, apologize to me for not getting their skills up or whatever. They ain't got to say I'm right, but just say, hey man, I'm sorry. I
That's
doubt it.
right. That's right.
You
I was wrong. Right?
Yeah, they ain't about to do that. They ain't about to
no, they're not. That's
No one can do that shit. But
that's
you're
because they're
right, though.
prideful. They're prideful.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
would
they
I would admit to someone in a minute. I'd give someone their dues that they were right and I was wrong. But most of these people are so prideful that no, they're not going to admit that. And in spite of them making fun of me and laughing at me, I still try to help them, you know?
Yeah.
So
Totally. And see, that's it shows your character, and just like what you've done for the show, Aaron, you've brought a lot of things. Both of you guys have brought a lot of things to my light, as you guys know, such as gold and silver and investments and thinking ahead. Kind of the ideology of being able to survive every situation. If everything goes fucked, can you survive that? If the stock market totally crashes right now, goes down to zero, can you survive? If you lose your job, can you survive? If the dollar all of a sudden becomes $0, now it's zero, it's worthless. Can you survive? You then once that happens, not only monetarily, but then can you protect it?
right.
We talk about these things on the Diamond Effect, and I really appreciate you guys and your knowledge because it's brought a lot to me personally. So I just have to say that.
I think that you're gonna get people on both sides of the spectrum when you talk about this, because you're gonna have some that's gonna be all for it. Reason being, because it's convenient. It's convenient.
Yeah.
It's fast. They don't have to worry about nothing. A lot of this stuff is going to. We've brought it up several times before that there's going to have to be something goes on. There has to be an event that goes on that the dollar ain't worth shit,
Right.
and you're not going to be able to eat like SNAP benefits, stuff like that. Something is going to happen that's going to be catastrophic to the point that the people who once was complaining about this are no longer going to complain. They're gonna run to it because of how they pushing it out there. Because they're not telling you all the stuff that's behind this. You know what I mean? They giving you the light version of it to where you think like, oh, that's a good idea. We getting ready to, everybody's gonna be peace on earth and goodwill to all men. Psych. That ain't what this is. This is like some Hunger Games shit for real. If you think about it, you know what I mean? This is some straight up bullshit. But they package it up. Like I said, they done shine the turd up and then they present it, and then you gonna go with it. You know what I mean? And some people will go with it strictly for if there's some money involved in it, they're gonna go with it. If they get hungry enough, they're gonna go with it. You know what I mean? Now, I know me personal. You gotta make me do that shit. You got to make me fucking do it.
You're gonna have to force a motherfucker.
I'm not willingly doing that shit. I'm not
Right,
willing.
yeah.
I mean,
You're willing to
I
go
could
to
take
war.
I could take my shit and go out in the woods like Davy Crockett. You're gonna have to catch me and make me do that shit. I'm not gonna do it. You know what I mean? And reason being, you know what I mean, it ain't even because of the convenience or even what they're even talking about here. You know what I mean? I grew up in the church.
Oh, AB, you're
And the
too
church, and the church talked
prideful.
about this for millions, for me, from years on years on years. I'm just not gonna do it. You know
You're
what I
too
mean?
prideful. You're too prideful.
Well, they kiss my pride ass because I ain't about
Yeah,
to do it.
that's right. That's right.
I ain't about to do it. I mean, and like I said, even if I did do it, the social credit score, all that old bullshit that's going along with that, I'm
Social
telling you, I
credit
wouldn't last
score.
a
Yep.
week. I wouldn't
Yeah,
last a
right.
week.
Dude, I'd be
You know what I
caught
mean?
speeding everywhere.
Right. I'm not one of them, you know what I mean? It's like I'm one of them, like I can be like I'm a good guy, yeah, but I'm also one of them ones like, I mean, like I'm gonna do what I want to do. You ain't gonna tell me what I need to do. You know what I mean? I do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that's all about. They want you to conform and be this way. That ain't me. You know what I mean? So doing it that way, I'm gonna be broke. I'm gonna be out there on the street. So I might as well just, you know what I mean, just skip me. Just let me go on out here in the woods and I'll be good. You know what I mean? Just
Right.
don't bother me because I know I'm not gonna act right. I already know.
I already know I'm not gonna act right. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Right. I'm just not gonna do it. I refuse to do it. I'm just not gonna act right. That's just me. I mean, especially if I got somebody telling me what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Shit.
Right. That right there.
Yeah.
Let me mention one last thing, and it could be a part of what's going on here. Ohio right now is in a crisis on property taxes. Okay, you have 5 cities: Cleveland, Akron, Columbus, Cincinnati, and Dayton. People are way behind. We're talking more than 2 years behind on their property taxes. After 2 years, they can take your house from you. Now, I don't know what percentage of them are elderly, but I know it has reached a crisis state. And then you got all these investors coming out everywhere offering you money to buy your house, offering you a cash offer, and they only want to give you half of what it's worth. They're probably representing some of this because for us to be heading toward not being able to buy real estate, they've already made the east and west coastline so expensive. You average person can't go in and buy no property on the east and west coast. Now they're working on the inside. My area has gone, the property values have gone way up, which means the property taxes now go up. And now
Yep.
it's beyond the people's ability to afford. If they want to take all the houses back, all they got to say is your property taxes are $10,000 a month. Pay it or get out. And who's going to be able to pay that?
Right. And it's unfeasible. Now, real quick, I gotta give a humongous shout out to Allegedly in the chat. She sent $50 on Cash App saying Merry Christmas, man. Thank you so much. That's insane. I can't thank you enough for that. That really goes a long way.
Oh my God!
But you also remember too, Aaron, those cities that you just named, Toledo, Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, they haven't, like you said, they having a problem with the taxes. But you know, in Ohio, I know because I was there, and I own property in Ohio. How many levies do they put out to raise up them property tax? Just about
Right.
every year, there's a
Yep.
different levy
Yep.
that adds more money on the property tax. And
Yep.
those particular cities that you named off also receive $400 million from the government to make those cities smart cities. So
Right.
what are they going to do? Because there's going to be people that don't want to sell. So what they do? Hike up the tax. You don't got no
Yep.
choice but to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because those cities are what on that list to be smart cities. So they're gonna try to weed out everybody they can weed out in order to get that accomplished. I mean, like this isn't stuff that they're doing behind closed doors. They doing it right in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing is that people don't know, don't even don't know what this is that we're talking about here to put two and two together to realize that this is what they're doing. That's the problem. You know what I mean? The actual information don't get out like it's supposed to get out. You know what I mean? Case in point, last week. We did our show last week, right?
Yeah.
One day I had was it like 6,700. The next day I had 42. Like you two went through and just whacked the shit out of it because they didn't want it out. They didn't want it out. You know what I mean? That's the reason why we talk about all the time about hitting that like button, because it pushes it out there. Because they can easily go right behind and all the people that watched it and just smack and drop it back down and put it at the bottom of the damn list and you never see it. But if you hit the like button, keep putting it out there. That's why we keep saying this. Put it out there, put it out there, put it out there. Because if they going through the point and go through all that trouble, put it at the bottom of the list, then what does that mean? Obviously, we ain't lying about something. It's something that they don't want out there. And we talking about it. So we're going to shut it down for the night. But key thing to what I just said there, hit the like button.
That's
on
right.
both of them. Dominant Effect and Insane Wheels. Both of them. That pushes us out to the algorithm. Now, we're actually doing it on two different ones right now. We're doing the horizontal and vertical. So that pushes it out there to two different algorithms. But you got to hit that like button, because if not, then the only thing you're doing is just letting them just go right around and hack it. And all the work that we're doing goes for nothing. So, like I said, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming out, watching. Like, follow, share, subscribe, pass this on to people. You know what I mean? Talk about it at work. Let people know what's going on. You know what I mean? Give them the link. Let them check it out. This stuff is serious. You know what I mean? And like we always say, go and look this stuff up, because it's there. It's there. It's not hard to find.
You just got to do it.
And you will see that this is a polished turd wrapped up and presented to you as though this is the best thing coming, and it's actually your actual demise if you do. So
That's right.
like I said, thanks everybody for coming. Also, if you're not on the Facebook group, go on there to Dominant Effect on Facebook. Go on
I'm
there.
gonna pull that up right now.
I think last week, man, we had like 50, 60 people that came on there last week. New. But it's growing, and it's growing rather quickly. But we put a lot of stuff on there every day. So go on there and check that out. Also, hit the little QR code right there that takes you to the Dominant Effect store. We got a lot of stuff on there. And if you actually become a member on there, it actually opens up another section that shows you a lot more other stuff that you would normally see. Also shows the past shows that we've done and a bunch of other stuff that we're doing. So go on there and check that out too. So once again, peace, love to everyone. Pay attention to this stuff, people. Pay attention. Because one last thing. If you wait until you hear them say that this is going on, it's already too late. So, see y'all next week for another story. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah. Like I said, there's an old saying that the man that prepares today will have a better tomorrow. So look into tomorrow, see what's coming. The one thing, you may not be able to stop it from happening, but the one thing you can control is your reaction to it. That's where your power lies. So get as many skills as you can, build your community, invest in real assets like gold, silver, land. Get you a food pantry, stock it with food and water, put back some over-counter meds. If you got prescriptions, start trying to figure out a way to get extra, even if you have to ask them to give it to you 3 months at a time. Start getting ahead of this. So when it happens, as long as you're living below your means, you're going to stand a much better chance of making it through versus living at your means or above. Because as soon as they raise taxes, as soon as they do whatever they're going to do, they're going to be trying to take everything from you. and try to make it to where you can't leave nothing for your children. They'll try to take it in probate or whatever, but transfer on death, titles, trusts, learn how to use these instruments that rich folks use to preserve wealth in their family. It's all going to come out good, better for you in the end. And I'll stop there.
That's right. Aaron just said it. You know, doing exactly what the rich people do. Take a note out of their book. You know, watch what the central banks are doing. What are they doing right now? Why are they buying a fuck ton of gold and silver right now? I mean, just figure it out. And this is something that we have been emphasizing on this channel since the conception. And I'm very appreciative of everyone that's found us along this journey of this truth-seeking adventure and figuring out what's actually happening in the world. So I really appreciate everyone that's here listening to us and then actually seeing in real time with timestamps behind us going, this is actually what's happening in the world. So I got to say, just doing this show over a year now with these gentlemen, almost every single thing we've talked about has come to fruition, you know? And so, listen, pay attention, stay focused, look ahead, man. So listen, much love, honor, respect, everybody. Hopefully you guys stick around for the raid. We're going to send you guys off, at least on my side, to our buddy Grid One Motorsports. Please let them know we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid. It's always a good time over there. And make sure you guys hit the like button, not only on my side, but as well as the Diamond Effect on their side. So I very much appreciate all of you guys. Until next week in 7 days, we'll see you guys here very soon. Much love, honor, respect, everybody. And thank you guys from the bottom of our heart, as well as the engagement and the donations and everything. And real quick, just to end it off, Papa Penguin said, we demand tinfoil hat merch. Absolutely. I hear you, man. So we're doing it up, man. We're doing it up. So stick around for the raid. We'll see you guys very soon. God bless.
They're back.